you saw the Seth Wickersham piece. It was very clearly pointing the finger at the 49ers coaching staff for not bringing in Tom Brady. The coaches were skeptical. They watched the tape. They concluded that he wasn't that much better than Jimmy Garoppolo, and that's why Tom Brady isn't here. What did you think of that?
I think that a lot of people are, a bit overreacting right now because that's revisionist history. So if you go back, and this is a perfect time to plug an episode that you and I did, the timeline of the quarterbacks as well too, because we touched on the Tom Brady thing, and I think that that's really important right now, especially with what's going on right now. So if you get a chance when you're done with this, go revisit that one and check out the episode that Grant and I did with that. But here's the thing. It's a little bit of revisionist history for the people that are outraged, because how many people walked away after that last year with the New England Patriots and said, this man is cooked. This man is washed. And when he went to Tampa Bay, they literally said the words, that's the best 8-8 team I've ever seen. Little did you know that that's not the case, and he still had a rocket on.
People here should remember that, because I was advocating for this after the Super Bowl loss, and no one wanted to hear it. Yeah. People were like, nah, he's 15 years younger than Brady. It's a bad mistake. And then when I picked the Buccaneers to go to the Super Bowl last year, people thought I was trolling. Yeah. But I really think there was a large segment of the Niners and the Niner fan base that just thought Brady was done.
And here's the part that I disagree with on this. I don't really think that they really believed that he was done. I just think that the age was too much to commit to, right? Because Brady wanted $2 for $50 million, and we knew that before this report came out, that that's what he wanted. And ultimately, that's kind of what really set this off, where it was like, man, we can't pay him that much. And Kyle, walked away from it and everything. But I don't really think that it was so much that they thought he was as cooked as 49ers fans and people around the league believed. I think that it's more the age thing, right? And I think that there was still some sort of optimism that Jimmy Garoppolo was not completely at his ceiling, right? You thought, hey, 2019, you unlock it, and now you start to get better. So I'm not going to fault the thought process at that moment, right? Obviously, in hindsight, this looks awful. And even with all the injuries, and I know that people are going to bring up, well, the offensive line couldn't block. Could Tom Brady? Yes, Tom Brady could navigate that. You know why? Because aside from his skills and his arm, that still is great and is still better than Jimmy Garoppolo's even at his age right now, his mental capacity for him to get the ball out, recognize the blitzes, and protect himself was second to none. He's not double clutching in the pocket. He knows where the throws are, and he knows how to get rid of them. So it's just funny to see now the outrage now from people who literally would look you right in the face at that time right after the Super Bowl and say that Jimmy Garoppolo is the better option than Tom Brady because of the feel-good 2019 season. That blinded everybody to it. And everybody believed, man, this guy's cooked. You watched him in that last Patriots game against the Titans, and they lost, and Brady threw a pick six in that game. Man, the time has finally come. I don't know if it was all that. I don't know if it was really his weapons at the time or everything else, but obviously Tom Brady's not cooked. And right now that looks like a bit of a mistake. So I just want to clear that up, because there was so many people who were just adamant against Tom Brady. No chance, don't want him. He's too old. He's cooked. And now they're like, oh man, what are they thinking? You got to kind of check yourself a little bit, because we can still go back on your Twitter replies and we can go look up your name and find out where you were at on this subject. It wasn't that far long ago.
Not me, though. I was all in on Tom Brady. I want to take this a whole different way, because I'm not here to decide, should Tom Brady be on the team and who had it first. Why is this coming out now? That's the most interesting part about this.
So why is it coming out now? This is the thing, Grant, and this is what we talked about with the draft process, and I kept telling you, we're never going to learn really what's going on with this until years down the line and when things start to come out little by little, and it's already starting to happen. Now, this begs the question, why, right? Like, why right now? Why now when... Yeah, okay, go for it.
Okay, so look, this is my theory. To me, now I know Seth Wickersham came out with a book, and this has been brewing for a while, and this is old news. And the information in the book is that it's the coaching staff that didn't want him. But then Matt Mayoko writes an article today and says he has a source that confirms Wickersham's information. Who would know other than the highest people in this organization? And I don't think Kyle Shanahan's telling on himself. So for whatever reason, people high up in the Niners were like, yeah, that's true what Seth said. I want you to know that. And it seems to me that this just puts the way I see this is, I believe that Kyle wanted Mac Jones. I believe that he tried to pivot to Aaron Rodgers. I believe that Trey Lance was the final decision. And I think that he feels that he was probably forced to take him. Not that he doesn't like him, but I think he feels that it wasn't his decision. It was essentially John Lynch and the organization's. And so what can he do to get back at them if he needs to? Not play him. Because if this season goes sideways and Jed wants to fire someone, Kyle can be like, well, don't fire me. I didn't want Trey Lance. I don't want Aaron Banks. I didn't want Trey Sermon. I don't want Ambry Thomas. He's the GM. He made these. You were there. He made these picks on his own. And I said, okay, so fire him. And then I'm just guessing. And then John could be like, well, yeah, but you didn't want Mahomes. You didn't want Brady. It's a little late. It's a little late now, Kyle. Anyway, if they win this weekend, none of this stuff matters. But the blame game happens fast in the NFL. And this is how I envision it in my head. The blame game.
Well, I will say this.
It's early blame game.
I will say this. The more and more that comes out about this leads me to believe more and more that Kyle Shanahan wanted Mac Jones more than anything. Oh, yeah. The only part that I disagree with is that he was swayed by the public. There was no backlash or anything that came from the outside that swayed him. But I do believe that
by the organization.
I was going to say
swayed by the public.
Right. So Jed York, I don't know if they necessarily were swayed by the public, but I know that I'm pretty certain that Jed York went into that office and said, if you take someone at number 3, it's not going to be Mac Jones. It needs to be a game changer, and you need to have somebody. Yeah, so
I'm with Jed on that.
Right.
I'm with Jed on that.
Don't get the safe pick at 3. You got to swing for the fences on this one. So that's where I feel like he was overruled. But the more and more that comes out about this is two things I know for certain. It was never Justin Fields, and it was way more Mac Jones than people really want to believe or want to accept at this point.
And again, let's go back to you talked about the timeline. I was thinking about that timeline. I was thinking about that today. To me, the timeline, I think, is this. Somehow it was either communicated or it's understood. You got to make the playoffs this year. Yeah. If you don't, someone might get fired. And that makes things very serious. So Kyle and John are like, okay, well, we need a new quarterback then. If that's how it's going to be, then we're going to need a new quarterback. And Stafford didn't work out. Watson didn't work out. They traded up without knowing who they wanted.
Darnold didn't work out. Darnold didn't work out.
So they trade up without even knowing who they want. Kyle says he wants Mac Jones. The rest of the organization's like, what? The fan base is like, what? They pivot to Aaron Rodgers at the end, don't pull it off, land with Trey Lance. But the reason that Kyle wanted Mac Jones, in his words, Mac Jones is a starting quarterback. And for him to be right, Trey has to be a backup this year. And so what Kyle, to me, is doing is just proving himself right once again. Okay, you wanted Trey Lance? Well, you wanted a backup quarterback. We'll see if he's a starter next year.
Right. And my theory has always been that he's taking it slow with Trey Lance because it resets his timeline. Like if you put him out there right, if you put him out there right away, then you've got to start to like make it happen right away because you're confident in him and you chose him, right? But if you let him sit for a year, you can say, hey, listen, I tried to do the right thing by the kid, and now next year I'll get him rolling. True. So I kind of believe that. I mean, again, Jimmy has to fall flat on his face, or get hurt before you'll see Trey Lance.
Because honestly, Jimmy didn't get on the field when he came to the Niners until an injury happened.
Right. And then after he threw the one touchdown, it was like, all right, well, screw it. We're gonna roll with them. And it was the excitement around it. But I truly believe that Kyle Shanahan's taking his time with this because he's just setting his timeline. Like he really doesn't want to have to be forced to make a move to this kid because now once you make the move to Lance, that's it. Like you have to instantly produce because you're Kyle Shanahan, you're the creative genius, you're the play caller that everybody wants. This is your guy. You've got to make it work right away. But why not put that off another year and also say, hey, listen, I never really wanted Jimmy Garoppolo to begin with. I'm just trying to make it work the best that I can at this point. Yeah.
All I see is Kyle not playing Lynch's picks and weird leaks come out now that make the coaching staff look not so good. I thought this whole regime was about no leaks. All of a sudden, well, when things get rough. Anyway, one loss. This is one loss in year 5. But what I want to remind you is year 4 with Harbaugh, the leaks started happening before the first game. They said he lost the locker room before the first game, and they won that game. These things happen quick.